This conference will now be recorded.
Huh. It says recording in progress, and I don't know if that's yours or mine, but whatever, that's the best we can do. So,
Okay, I think it's working. All right. Well, everybody, welcome to our virtual meeting. And it's definitely been a little strange the last couple months. You know, trying to hold meetings. You know, I'm working from home. It's been a little strange. I think I'm with Morgan Stanley, and I think it's going to be a while till we go back. But hopefully everybody's doing okay. I want to go ahead and call the meeting to order. The first,
you know, Mac, maybe people should put their phone on mute.
Pardon me?
Yes, please.
Yeah, some folks should put their phone on mute. Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
Yeah, that's all right. So the first thing let's do, let's approve the minutes of the March 4th meeting. That was a special meeting we had with F&B and the Public Works Committee in the auditorium. Any comments on that or anything? Go ahead and approve it. All in favor, raise your hand. Okay, looks. Tom, I assume you're in there too, unanimous?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so approved. Now the next thing is really why we're here, and that's to discuss and vote on portions of the town of Darien budget of July 1st, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. And the portions that we actually look at are police, fire, disaster preparedness, emergency medical services, and human service. So those are the things that that we're gonna look at. I sent out what I kind of called were talking points. Hopefully everyone got to look at them. I did a couple changes today just because of thank you to Olive, because she called me and pointed out that the whole subset of human service includes human services, plural. It's kind of confusing. Olive, do you have anything to add to that?
No, it's just it's long-lasting kind of aggravation to have everybody confused about it. It's just too bad. I haven't been able to get them to change it in years. So, but I'm glad it's corrected, because now we know that it includes human services, and human services doesn't run all those other departments. So. Right.
Okay, good. So, well, let's just start at the top here. I'm going to start with the police budget. They have an overall increase of 2.2%, and that's primarily driven by their negotiated wage increases, and they have ongoing patrol personnel expenses. There are decreases this year in professional standard expenses; those went down, and probably the biggest thing that was kind of hashed out was that they did take out the civilian dispatchers, 3 of them for this year. That's been something that I think the other areas F&B was working on, and that was approved by F&B. And I think the police are okay with that. It's really just a deferral for 1 year, and more than likely it'll come back for next year. And nobody, the police or anyone else, feels that there's any lack of services with that. So that's pretty much what I saw in the police budget. The fire budget has an overall increase of 1.7%, and that's also due to contractual obligations. The 3 all-volunteer fire departments have decreases in equipment repair and replacement costs. The fire commission and fire marshal budgets have increases driven by greater part-time hours of the blight officer, which is now under the fire marshal. They also have increases occurring in professional expenses, and there's ongoing increases in hoarding and blight issues. And I think that's something that is really, I guess, a good thing. What's happened with the blight ordinance is that it's caused more than likely the fire departments to go out and see things, see homes that have stockpiles of newspapers inside. It's a real problem, and those expenses are kind of going up, but it's a real safety issue. But the fire budget also, they have expected less expenses with software maintenance. And one thing I picked up on was that the town budget for fire is about 1.7 million. Police is 8.1. So I mean, it's a huge difference, and the town saves a lot of money by having an all-volunteer fire department. As far as emergency medical services, or what we call post 53, that budget is up 3.25% this year, but it's really only $4,200, and it's radio related. It's noteworthy that the staffing of post 53 is all volunteer, and much of the operation is self-funded through donations. And the whole town portion of that budget is $133,000, which really is incredible for what they do. Human service includes human services and outside assistance, the senior center, senior transportation, youth services, and the public health department. The overall budget there is up 3.8%, primarily driven by increased senior center expenses, and there's a part-time hire there. The public health department budget is up 1.5% with increases in personnel and contractual services. This budget for the health department of $345,000 receives revenues of approximately $119 from licenses and permits. And this is kind of a funny year for that, because there are some things that they haven't done yet. You know, there haven't been any inspections of swimming pools, for example. But it just seems like the way things are going with the numbers dropping drastically, at least in our town. I got an email last night from David Knopf, and in the last 7 days, there's been no cases in Darien, no new cases. And Caleb Moore, who's our doctor who covers us, who has a practice in Greenwich, he hasn't seen any new cases in his practice for 30 days. So that's very encouraging. That's really about it. Yeah, Lois.
I know you when we were talking, you talked about David and what he was doing and how the good job he was doing and things like that. Would you like to mention something like that in the presentation?
Sure. He hasn't had a day off, I think, since since January. He's been a real busy guy, but and he's taken some lumps too. There was an article in one of the online papers that the headline was that he had stopped, or rather their department had stopped inspecting restaurants. And it really was like a clickbait type thing, because that's really not true. What they stopped doing was inspecting restaurants that were closed, and they continued to inspect restaurants that are open doing takeout. So they did that on unannounced drop-ins like they do, and then also they were calling restaurants. So they continued that. But sure, I'll definitely add some comments about some
maybe you can talk about what they are doing. I mean, it's probably inappropriate to say that the newspaper article had a bad headline.
Right. I'm just throwing that out as a
this is what they're responsible for, and this is what they're doing right now. So that would be great.
Right. Okay.
And I have a question on the if the senior center stays closed, does that going to affect the budget going forward? I mean, I don't want to budget. We want to budget as if it's open, but does anybody have a feel for what happens if that stays closed for a long time?
No, they just save money, not on personnel, because they still have their personnel there doing different things. But certainly they'll probably wait for the halftime person, but it might not be all that long if things keep going well. I mean, they may be able to come up with a program that maybe is not as full as it was, but I'm certain that they're looking to open as soon as they can, as soon as it's safe, and with whatever they can. So again, that's with everything. If you're talking about senior center, then you're talking about youth programs. You're talking about all the different programs that one has going, even the transportation, senior transportation, whether or not Gallivant is running as much as it is. That's a very small portion of their budget. That most of it is raised. But again, it's going to affect it one way or another. But we won't know how that happens until it all washes out.
Yeah, that I understand. Is Gallivant running now to help people or not?
You know what? I'm not certain. I think that they were doing, they were helping with Palmer's running some groceries, but I'm not certain right now.
Well, I know as far as like the youth programs, it's kind of a wash, because if they do have programs this summer with less participants, they're going to have less expenses. So I think that's kind of a wash. So if it's all right, I'd like to suggest that we approve these observations, and I'll go ahead and kind of work up something that I'll state just like I went through with a little more polish, to the full RTM when we meet on this next week. So all in favor of approval?
Aye.
Yeah, it looks pretty good.
Aye. Tom Moore,
Okay.
aye.
Yep. Thanks, Tom. So then the other thing to talk about is the sidewalk appropriations. What to cut down on the budget, what they did was they pulled some things that normally might be appropriated in the budget, like sidewalk repairs and new sidewalks, and they're going to be putting those into a bond offering that I think they're looking at 30 million total. That won't be just for sidewalks, but one of the things in there is for sidewalks. I think they estimate 503,000 for sidewalk renovations, and then there's $1 million project which includes other things. In the Norotan Heights, they're going to be doing some gas line work, and that also includes new sidewalks. So by putting them into a bonding with very low interest rates right now, it's probably going to be a good thing for the town, and we're not paying for it all at once through 1 year's budget, if that makes sense to everybody. Yeah, Lois.
I think the 30 million number is the opportunity to refinance things that, if that come about. I don't think
Exactly.
they're bonding 30 million now. I mean, I don't think the
No,
incremental
no.
bonding is 30. The 30 is just if things come up that they can rebond to save us money.
Right.
That's why we approved that amendment.
Right.
Or
I think what it is, what do they use the term? It's a placeholder. It's the idea is that they can move if they feel it's an opportune time to interest rates are really low at a particular week. They can work with their bankers and do a deal, and they don't have to come back to the RTM. And I think the history of that is it's worked well in the past. It hasn't been an issue where, an outrageous number has been issued in bonds and we weren't aware of it. It's, we put something in that's kind of reasonable. Okay, anything else? So why don't we, if it's all right, I'd like to approve that. That's going to be a resolution also. All in favor of this?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, looks unanimous. Okay, and that's really it. I don't really have any announcements. I think we'll have an open summer. I don't perceive that there's anything else that we have to do unless something comes up at the last minute. And unfortunately, the fun things that we've done in the past, like go for a boat ride with the police department, that may not be in the cards for this summer. But if there is anything like that, I could certainly reach out to everybody. So any other announcements or anything? Okay. I motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
So moved.
Great.
Back.
As I said to Lois, we spent more time setting this meeting up than the actual meeting. That's the way it goes.
That's
So,
a good
Thank you,
question.
Mac and Lois, for figuring it out.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Everybody
Thank you,
enjoy the summer, and
Good night.
Jim, we'll stop recording this now, and then I'll get it back to you.
Excellent. Thanks. We'll get it up on Vimeo.
Thanks,
Everybody
everybody.
be well.
Stay safe, everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Bye-bye.
Be good.
Bye.